You know that moment when someone's attitude is so bad you just want to teach them a lesson? Well, I'm Rick Hoffman, 48 years old, and I just lived through one of those moments. What happened next? Let's just say some people learn respect the hard way. So there I was at the Gaylord Texan Resort in Dallas. The automatic doors opened and hit me with that familiar smell of conference coffee and expensive cologne. I'd just gotten off a red-eye from D.C., where I'd been briefing Pentagon folks about cyber threats. My usual suits were back home in Dallas. Today I was wearing a gray hoodie, jeans, and my old work boots. Here's the thing. My luggage with my good clothes was taking a little vacation in Denver thanks to American Airlines. So I looked less like the CEO of a cybersecurity company and more like a guy who'd gotten lost looking for the loading dock. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was at the Dallas Defense and Security Summit, about to give the opening keynote, dressed like I was heading to fix someone's computer. I've been running Hoffman Cybersecurity Solutions for 22 years now. Started it in my garage after getting out of the Army. Today we pull in $45 million a year with 180 employees, but apparently none of that matters when you're wearing a hoodie. I was heading toward check-in when this voice cut through the lobby noise. "Excuse me. Hey, you?" I turned around. Standing there was this young woman, maybe 24, next to a pile of fancy luggage that probably cost more than most people's cars. She had that look, perfectly done up, expensive everything, and the kind of confidence that screams I've never been told no in my life. Her name tag said Ashley Morgan from Morgan Capital. I knew that outfit. Old money VC firm where daddy's connections got you a corner office before you could spell investment. "Yes, you," she said, pointing at me like I was furniture. "Finally. I've been waiting forever." I looked around. We were the only two people in that part of the lobby. Me? Obviously. "Where have you been?" She waved at her luggage pile. "Load these in the car. Black SUV out front. I'm already late for the VIP thing, and if I miss networking time, my father will kill me." It took me a second to figure out what was happening. She thought I was her driver, saw a middle-aged guy in casual clothes, and her brain just filed me under hired help. "I'm not," I started to say. She cut me off. "Save it. Just grab the bags and be careful with the laptop case. Some of us actually have work to do." Something snapped. It was like a switch flipping from nice guy mode to full business mode. I looked at her face. She wasn't even looking at me anymore. Just scrolling through her phone, probably checking how many likes her breakfast photo got. Then she grabbed her briefcase and tossed it at me. Not handed it over. Tossed it like I was a piece of equipment. I caught it because, well, reflexes. "Let's go," she said, still staring at her phone. "I don't tip slow service." The lobby got quiet. A few business types near the desk turned to watch. This Navy contractor I recognized was staring with his mouth open, clearly thinking, did that just happen? I held her bag and checked the monogram. A.M. Ashley Morgan. I didn't say anything. Didn't throw it back. Didn't pull the, "Do you know who I am?" Routine. That's what insecure people do. I just went quiet. It's something I learned in the military when dealing with know-it-all lieutenants. Sometimes silence hits harder than yelling. She finally looked up, annoyed that I wasn't moving. "What's your problem? Don't you speak English?" "The car's outside." I looked her right in the eye. Called up every bit of authority I'd earned over 25 years building a business from nothing. Every government contract, every late night, every dollar I'd made through actual work. For just a second, she looked uncertain. Like some part of her brain was saying warning, warning, but her conscious mind was too stuck on stupid to listen. "Fine," I said, real quiet. I turned around with her bag. She huffed and grabbed her rolling suitcases. "Finally. Lead the way. Here's where it gets good." I walked toward the main doors, then at the last second cut left to the staff door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." See, I knew this hotel. Spoke here a few years back. "Hey, where are you going?" "Exit's that way," she called out. I didn't turn around. Just swiped my speaker pass on the card reader. Green light, cheerful beep. I walked through into the staff hallway, still carrying her precious briefcase. The door slammed shut behind me with that heavy thud sound. I stood there in the quiet hallway listening to her bang on the door. "Open up, you have my bag." I pulled out my phone and texted Jennifer Walsh, the event director. "Jennifer, I'm here," came in the back way. Had a small issue with a confused attendee. I'll explain later. Also, might need security standby. For the first time all day, I smiled. The tired feeling from the flight just disappeared. She wanted me to handle her luggage? No problem. I was going to handle it all right, in front of 2,500 people. I got in the service elevator and hit the button for the executive floor. As the doors closed, I said to myself, "Welcome to Dallas, Ashley." So anyway, that's how it started. Little did she know, she'd just picked a fight with the wrong guy on the wrong day, and I was about to give her a lesson in respect she'd never forget. The elevator was smooth and quiet as it took me up to the executive floor. I leaned against the wall, still holding Ashley's briefcase. The thing smelled like expensive perfume and entitlement. You know what? I got curious. I wasn't going to dig through her personal files or anything. I'm not that guy. But the outside pockets? Fair game. I unzipped the front section and out spilled a bunch of business cards. Ashley Morgan, visionary. Disrupting traditional paradigms. Monetizing innovation. I actually laughed out loud. Monetizing innovation. Sounded like something a computer would spit out if you fed it. Nothing but startup blog posts. The elevator dinged and opened onto the 12th floor. Nice up here. Thick carpet, good lighting, the kind of quiet you only get with real soundproofing. Jennifer Walsh was pacing by the registration desk, staring at her tablet like she was trying to solve world hunger. When she saw me, her whole body relaxed. "Rick," she said, practically running over. "Thank God. The airline said your bags were in Denver and I was about to send someone shopping for you." "Denver's nice this time of year," I said, shifting Ashley's bag to my other hand. "But I've got a backup shirt in my carry-on." Jennifer looked at the briefcase. "That yours? Doesn't look like your style." "This?" I patted the bag. "This is evidence. Had a little situation downstairs. Some young lady thought I was her driver and told me to carry her stuff. So I did." Jennifer's eyes got wide. "You're kidding." "Nope. She actually threw it at me, Jen. Like I was a piece of furniture." Jennifer's face went hard. She'd been running these conferences for years and had seen every kind of ego the business world could throw at her. "Show me who she is. I'll yank her badge right now." "No way," I said, holding up my hand. "Let her stay. Let her sit wherever she wants." "Rick," she said, trying not to smile, "what are you up to?" "Just a little education," I said. "Keep this bag here at the desk. If someone comes looking for stolen property belonging to Ashley Morgan, tell them security found it and they're checking it out. Let her worry about it." I handed the bag to Jennifer's assistant, who took it like it might explode. "Now I need a shower and 10 minutes of quiet before showtime." "This way," Jennifer said, walking me down the hall. We passed the VIP lounge and I could see the big shots through the glass. Defense contractors, tech CEOs, the usual crowd. Despite my hoodie and jeans, heads turned when I walked by. These people knew who I was. "Rick," called out General Foster, standing up from his chair, still in his dress uniform. "Read your paper on supply chain vulnerabilities. Good stuff. We need to talk implementation." I waved back. "After my talk, General. I'm going undercover right now." He laughed, confused but rolling with it. "That's the thing. To people who actually do the work, who understand the business, I'm a colleague. To the Ashley Morgans of the world who only see surface stuff, I'm nobody." Got to my green room, nicer than my first apartment. Big fruit basket on the table next to this fancy envelope. My credentials. Richard Hoffman, keynote speaker. All areas access. Clipped that badge to my hoodie. Felt like putting on armor. Meanwhile, down in the lobby, I knew exactly what was happening. Ashley was probably yelling at some poor front desk person about how incompetent the driver service was, digging herself deeper with every word. I grabbed a shower, got cleaned up, changed into my backup clothes, black polo and slacks. Nothing fancy, but clean and professional. Looked in the mirror. The tired traveler was gone. Time for business. Checked the conference app to see what Ashley was up to. Found her. Panel. Disrupting defense. New voices in traditional industries. 2:00 p.m. Brazos Hall. Disrupting defense. Perfect. I texted Jennifer. "Get me a seat for the 2:00 panel in Brazos Hall. Back row. Done. But your main stage at 4:00. Why waste time on that?" "Research," I typed back. Had about 90 minutes to kill, so I headed down to the mezzanine overlooking the main floor. Good spot to watch the crowd and get a feel for the event. The mezzanine was mostly serious contractors trying to get away from all the vendor noise downstairs. Got myself a coffee and leaned against the railing, watching the chaos below. Defense conferences are something else. Bunch of people in expensive suits trying to sell protection in a dangerous world. Excuse me, is this seat taken? I knew that voice. Turned around and there she was, Ashley, looking stressed out, hair messed up, sweat stains on her fancy shirt. She was carrying some cheap canvas bag she must have grabbed from a vendor booth. Looked like she'd been through hell. She stopped when she saw me. I could see the wheels turning. She recognized me as the driver but couldn't figure out why I was up here in the VIP area drinking expensive coffee. You, she said, pointing at me. What are you doing here? Did you get fired? Is that why you took off with my bag? I took a slow sip of coffee. Hello, Ashley. How's the conference going? That threw her off. She didn't expect me to know her name. Don't act like we're friends. I reported you to hotel management. They're looking for you. You stole my stuff. I secured an unattended bag, I said calmly. Pretty sure it's at Lost and Found now. Her face went red. You put my bag in Lost and Found? Do you know how embarrassing that was? I had to describe my laptop stickers for 20 minutes. Sounds rough, I said. Maybe carry your own stuff next time. She got closer, getting in my space like she was used to intimidating people. Listen, old man, I don't know how you got up here, probably cleaning tables or something, but you better watch your mouth. I'm a speaker at this event. She tapped her badge, standard panelist badge, nothing special. Impressive, I said, keeping my voice flat. Yeah, it is, she said. I'm on the defense panel. I'm changing this whole industry. What are you doing, emptying trash cans? That's when Steve Patterson showed up with his Lockheed team. Steve's the kind of guy who commands respect just by walking in a room. 25 years of real defense work does that. Rick, Steve said, completely ignoring Ashley. He stuck out his hand. Was hoping to catch you before your talk. Got some questions about that vulnerability report you published. The Air Force is worried. I shook his hand. Steve, good to see you. Those vulnerabilities only matter if people ignore the protocols, which, knowing your contractors, Steve laughed. That's why we need guys like you, Rick. Always see the angles we miss. Ashley was standing there with her mouth open, looking back and forth between Steve and me. You could practically hear her brain trying to process this. Sorry, Ashley jumped in, desperate to control the conversation. Steve, you know this guy? Steve looked at her like she was a mosquito. This guy? This is Rick Hoffman. He's secured more networks than you've seen PowerPoints. Who are you again? Ashley went pale. I'm Ashley Morgan. I'm speaking here. Defense disruption. Steve turned back to me, totally dismissing her. Anyway, Rick, dinner tonight? Love to pick your brain. I'll check my schedule, I said, watching Ashley's face. Her brain was having a meltdown. She couldn't make driver and government contractor fit together in her head, so she went with denial. He's probably just an assistant, she mumbled as Steve's group walked away. Yeah, consultant, probably just takes notes. I watched her stumble toward the bar, clearly needing a drink to handle the confusion. Checked my watch, 1:45, time for the real show to begin. Brazos Hall was this windowless room that smelled like old coffee and too much air conditioning, set up for maybe 150 people, but only about 30 seats were filled. Mostly other junior people, some folks charging their phones by the wall, that kind of crowd. I slipped into the back row, kept my head down like I was checking emails, but I was listening to every word. Ashley was up there on a high stool center stage with two other young guys who looked like they came from the same startup factory. The moderator, this tired-looking woman from Defense Weekly, asked something about sustainable growth in defense. Ashley grabbed that microphone like it was going to save her life. Great question, she said, way too loud for the small room. But I think sustainable is a trap. That's old thinking. We don't want sustainable. We want explosive disruption. Break the old systems. If you're not breaking things, you're not innovating. She looked around expecting applause, got a few polite nods. At my firm, she kept going. We don't have traditional hierarchies. We have impact networks, no meetings. We have collision sessions. It's about flattening the old guard mentality. These dinosaurs in defense are too slow, too worried about protocols and old school thinking. We focus on results. That got to me. Worried about protocols. In defense work, protocols keep people alive. But to her, they're just speed bumps. Let me give you an example, Ashley said, getting more confident. Just this morning, I had an interaction that shows the difference between service mentality and ownership mindset. I dealt with a logistics provider who was slow, confused, didn't get urgency. That's the problem with today's workforce. No hustle, no adaptability. You're either moving fast or you're dead. She was talking about me, using our lobby encounter as some kind of business lesson. Woman 2. Seats over, whispered to her friend. Is she serious? Sounds like she's never actually worked, her friend whispered back. Every trust fund kid who's tried to explain crypto to me sounds like this. I pulled out my notepad, actual paper, and wrote down, today's workforce, no hustle. Morgan, 2:15 p.m. Oh, I was definitely using that. The moderator tried to get the other panelists talking, but Ashley kept cutting them off. She was like a conversation black hole, sucking up all the attention. Actually, let me jump in, Ashley said, interrupting some guy making a point about cybersecurity. Security is dead. Get over it. Data is the new oil. You don't ask oil for permission, you just drill. Half the room groaned. The woman next to me looked at my face, then down at her phone. She had the conference website open. My photo was right there on the main page. She looked back at me, eyes getting wide. Wait, she whispered. Are you? I put a finger to my lips. Shh. She about jumped out of her seat, started nudging her friend like crazy. It's him, she said under her breath. That's Rick Hoffman. He's sitting right there. No way, her friend said. Why would he be here? He's watching her, the first woman said. Oh my God, look at his face. She's done. She's so done. The whisper started spreading through the back rows. Rick Hoffman is here. He's watching Ashley. People stopped looking at the stage and started looking at me. Phones came out, people taking pictures. Ashley up on stage noticed people getting distracted, thought they were finally getting interested in her speech. See? You feel that energy? She said, standing up and walking to the edge of the stage. That's what I'm talking about, real disruption. She had no clue. The audience was watching me get ready to destroy her. I stood up quietly. Had enough material. The no hustle comment was perfect. I nodded to the two women next to me. They looked scared and excited at the same time. Enjoy the rest, I said quietly. Walked out. The hallway air felt clean after being in there. 3:10 p.m. On my watch, 50 minutes until my turn. Ashley's panel would wrap up in a few minutes, then she'd head to the main auditorium, probably trying to work her way into a better seat. Time to get ready for the real show. The main auditorium was huge, 2,500 seats and packed. The lights were dimmed blue with this ambient music that sounded like a space movie soundtrack. Less like a conference, more like a concert for people who understand what's at stake with national security. I stood backstage, left side. Jennifer was there with her headset, counting down. 2 minutes, Rick. You look good, very approachable. Thanks, Jen. I looked through the curtain. Front row was for the big shots and major speakers. And there she was. Ashley had somehow gotten herself a seat in the third row, center aisle. She was all smiles, chatting up the Raytheon guy next to her, probably pitching her collision sessions idea. She looked relaxed, like someone who'd pulled one over on everybody. Had her phone out, ready to record my speech, probably planning to post it later with some comment about being inspired by traditional leadership. The announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker, decorated veteran, cybersecurity pioneer, and CEO of Hoffman Cybersecurity Solutions. Please welcome Rick Hoffman. The applause hit like a wave. I took a breath and walked out into those blinding white spotlights that made it impossible to see the back but lit up the front rows perfectly. Walked to center stage, didn't wave, didn't nod, just stood there, hands behind my back, completely still. The clapping died down to dead silence. I looked down and found her right away. Ashley was clapping with this polite, networking smile. Then she really looked at me. I watched it happen, her brain trying to match driver from the lobby with guy on stage and completely crashing. Her hands stopped mid-clap, mouth fell open. She squinted like maybe the lights were playing tricks. I looked right at her and tilted my head the same way I had in the lobby when she threw that bag. Hit her like a truck. She turned to the Raytheon guy and said something. Looked like, that's him. The guy looked at Ashley, then at me, then scooted away from her like she was radioactive. Whispers started in the front rows. People from her panel saying, that's him. He was there. He heard everything. Ashley started sinking in her chair, trying to disappear, looking at the exits that were about 200 yards away through a packed crowd. No way out. I stepped up to the microphone. 2,500 people, dead silent. Let it hang there for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Getting uncomfortable. Kept my eyes on Ashley the whole time. Assumptions, I said, voice carrying to every corner of the room. Ashley flinched like I'd hit her. Time to teach this lesson. Assumptions, I said again, walking to the edge of the stage. We build our whole world on them. See a suit, think success. See a hoodie, think... I paused, let it hang there. Help. Ashley looked like she wanted to crawl under her chair. Today I want to talk about blind spots, I continued. Not just in our networks, but in our thinking. Because sometimes the biggest threat is standing right in front of you, but your bias makes you miss it completely. The audience was hooked. They could smell blood in the water, but didn't know the whole story yet. I clicked my remote. The big screen behind me showed one word: reconnaissance. Before we get into cyber threats, I said, let me share some field data I collected this morning, right here in the hotel lobby. Click. The screen showed a photo of Ashley's briefcase with her initials clear as day. Ashley made this little choking sound. I showed up today tired, underdressed, standing by the entrance, I said. A young analyst, let's call her the disruptor, saw me there. Some nervous laughs from the crowd. The disruptor didn't see a keynote speaker. Didn't see a fellow professional. She saw a service function, someone to move her stuff from point A to point B. Click. Generic photo of expensive luggage. She threw her briefcase at me, I said clearly. The whole room gasped. Threw it. Then told me to load her car. When I didn't move fast enough, she didn't question her assumption. She doubled down. Questioned my work ethic, my competence. Someone in the balcony yelled, "No way, now," I said, voice getting conversational. I could have corrected her. Could have said, "Ma'am, I'm Rick Hoffman, been securing networks since you were in middle school." But I wanted to see how deep this vulnerability went. So I took her bag. The place erupted. People jumping up, cheering. I secured it, I said, gesturing at the screen, then decided to do some research. Went to observe the disruptor in her natural environment. I pulled out my notepad. Attended a panel this afternoon. Disrupting defense. Took some notes. The crowd was electric now. Got a great quote here. Today's workforce, no hustle, no adaptability. The room exploded. Laughing, groaning, cheering, it was loud. No hustle, I said, putting the notebook away. Interesting theory. Is it good hustle to disrespect the person running the event you're trying to network at? Is it adaptable to treat colleagues like furniture? I walked back to center stage. This industry, I said, voice getting serious, protects our nation's critical systems. If the people building our defenses can't tell the difference between a peer and a servant, we've got a problem. I looked right at Ashley. She was staring at her shoes, shaking. So to the disruptor, I said, voice carrying to every seat wherever you're sitting. People around Ashley started turning. They knew. The net was closing. Thanks for the lesson in vulnerability assessment. You showed us exactly what we need to fix in this industry. I clicked to my real presentation. Cybersecurity evolution, building secure networks. Now let's talk about real security, I said. For the next 30 minutes, I gave my actual speech, but every time I said blind spots or unauthorized access or privilege escalation, 2,500 heads turned toward Ashley's section. She sat there trapped, couldn't leave without confirming she was guilty, had to endure the longest half hour of her life. The standing ovation at the end went on forever. I took it in, knowing it meant something bigger than just applause. Q&A time. House lights came up. This young woman in military dress stood up in the balcony. "Mr. Hoffman," she said, voice strong and clear, "you talk about changing culture. But how do we actually do that when people like the disruptor get funding and platforms? How do we stop rewarding attitude over ability?" Dead silence. The question everyone wanted answered. We stop tolerating it, I said simply. Stop pretending loud equals smart, and we stop giving them the microphone. I looked down at Ashley. She was looking up at me now like a cornered animal, with nowhere to run. She stood up, had to yell to be heard without a mic. "This is a misunderstanding. You're making me look bad for an honest mistake. I didn't know who you were." The crowd gasped. She just admitted it was her. Exactly the problem, I said into my mic, voice drowning hers out. You only show respect when you know someone's title. That's not respect, that's calculation. I'm a speaker here, Ashley yelled, stepping into the aisle. I belong here. You took my property. Security, I said calmly. Two pros moved in immediately. Ex-military guys, efficient, looked tired of dealing with entitled people. I'm from Morgan Capital, Ashley said as they reached her. My father will hear about this, I leaned into the mic. For anyone who thinks family connections equal competence, I said, looking at the broadcast camera. Security will escort our guest to the exit. Guest? Ashley screamed as they took her arms. I'm a panelist. You're a case study, I said. Good luck, Ashley. They walked her out professionally but firmly. The audience didn't just watch, they started clapping. Slow at first, then building to this thunderous goodbye. Ashley looked back once, furious, shouting something nobody could hear over the applause. Then she was gone. Next question, I said. The room exploded with laughter and cheers. Tension broke like a dam. We finished Q&A, but the whole energy had changed. This wasn't just a conference anymore, it was a statement. Jennifer met me backstage, grinning like crazy. You're a case study, she quoted. Rick, that's going on merchandise. I'm printing shirts tonight. Make sure I get a cut, I said, taking off my mic. Her bag still at Lost and Found? Yup. She can get it on her way to the airport. Already pulled her credentials. Perfect. Now how about that drink? By evening, the internet had done its thing. Hashtag case study was trending. The video had millions of views. Memes everywhere. Ashley's shocked face when the NPC is the final boss. Me holding her bag, securing assets. Her being walked out, connection terminated. Comments were brutal but fair. This should be required viewing in business school. Load my bags. Famous last words. Her career was toast. Morgan Capital posted they were reviewing junior positions. She was done. Got serious calls, too. Pentagon wanted me to head a new contractor oversight committee. Harvard wanted a case study on leadership accountability. Week later, I announced the Veterans Cybersecurity Foundation at the closing ceremony. My speaking fee plus $500K of my own money, matched by 5 companies embarrassed by Ashley's performance. Full scholarships for military veterans entering cybersecurity. That empty seat where our case study sat, I said, pointing to Ashley's vacant chair. Next year will be filled by Staff Sergeant Michelle Turner. Met her in the lobby yesterday. She held doors for people without knowing their names or titles. Just because it's right. That got the longest standing ovation of my career. Final text from Ashley. I'm sorry, really. I looked at it for a minute, thought about responding with some advice about learning from mistakes. Then I blocked the number. Sometimes the best lessons are the ones you learn the hard way. Mission accomplished.